It was our last night in Amsterdam, and my 16-year-old daughter, Katie, and I were on a sunset canal cruise, watching narrow houses painted various shades of denim and pomegranate scroll past us. The polite ringing of bicycle bells from the canal banks was a surprisingly perfect accompaniment to the German tourists aboard our boat, who were lifting their beer mugs and singing what might have been their national anthem or maybe just a rugby song. Soon, Katie had fallen asleep, her body using mine as a recliner, and I settled into the comfortable feeling that I was being an excellent mother. Katie and I had enjoyed a magical few days in Amsterdam, playing our favorite museum games, pretending to be pretentious art critics, and renaming paintings with titles more appropriate for rap music. We spent that morning at the Anne Frank house and left with a renewed appreciation for the fragility of life, knowing all the more that we needed to savor the good in the world. As Katie and I left the Anne Frank Museum, we saw an old man wearing lederhosen operating a foot pedal kayak down the Prinsengracht Canal while playing carnival music on his accordion. We found a canal-side cafe and ordered cheese waffles with dark maple syrup and listened to the music, feeling grateful for these simple, silly pleasures of life. Earlier that day, Katie and I had stopped at a vintage record shop and found an album featuring a song that my father had written. He was a musician who struggled in the United States, but overseas he had more success. The song that we spotted earned him a gold record and ranked number 2 for the 1970s in the Netherlands. The record shop owner played the song for Katie and I knew that my father would have been thrilled that the man in the shop could sing along without missing a word. After that, Katie and I headed to the Milkveg, a concert venue with a small coffee shop in the front. We sipped hot chocolate and chatted as raindrops tapped on the glass window. When Katie told me that the Milkveg's caramel-soaked shortbread cookies were the best thing she'd ever tasted, I convinced the coffee shop manager to sell us the entire box of 64 to have for the next leg of our trip that would begin the following day. Our mother-daughter adventure was going perfectly. Back on the evening canal ride, I looked at my daughter peacefully sleeping and felt like I was really acing this motherhood thing. I also felt like I could really use a snack. And I wanted those caramel-soaked cookies from the Milkveg, but Katie's legs were draped over her backpack, so I couldn't get to them. Then I remembered that I did have a little something in my purse. I had purchased a space cake, the Dutch version of a pot brownie, at the farmer's market the day before, and I dug around to find it. The guy who sold it to me told me to eat half and then wait for an hour for the effects to kick in. About 45 minutes later, the boat pulled into the dock, and I felt nothing except hunger. So I popped the second half of the cake into my mouth and woke up Katie. As we walked back to the hotel, I smiled at a large sculpture made of orange and white letters that spelled I Amsterdam. I thought, that sign is my friend. I really am Amsterdam. I basked in the connection between all things human and inanimate. And in that moment, all of the spiritual ambivalence I had from being a lifelong agnostic just disappeared. I realized, of course there's a God. If there wasn't, who made butterflies? And my lips started getting really hot, but I was not bothered by this because I started thinking how funny the whole idea of lips were anyway. I mean, all the flesh gathers in the mouth, getting pink and puffy like mouth gates. It was crazy, right? Katie bounced alongside of me, oblivious to my escalating high. But a slow panic rose as I took note of the time. I had just hit the 1 hour mark. I reasoned that if I kept quiet and I didn't share any of my nonsensical musings about mouth gates, my daughter would be none the wiser. But what would happen when the second half of that space cake hit in another hour? Soon enough, I knew. Back at the hotel, I was terrified by laundry. Katie scrunched up her face, baffled by my reluctance to collect all of the clothing that we had placed in the washer at the laundry room a bit earlier. That washing machine had gobbled up our coins a bit too aggressively for my comfort. It was greedy and hungry, and I knew that clothing dryer beside it was going to be equally grabby. I could tell. It had that look. I told Katie I thought we should just abandon our clothes in Amsterdam rather than going back to that very, very bad place. But she insisted that she could deal with the evil clothing dryer, and we headed downstairs to toss our wet clothes in. I watched my daughter drop euro coins into the machine, and with amazement, it started turning and drying. It was amazing. Back upstairs in our hotel room, Katie asked if I was feeling okay. "You're acting really weird tonight." What? I am fine. I am totally fine. Are you fine? Because I am fine. Do I not seem fine? Katie knit her brows. "No, actually, you don't seem fine. You seem really weird." Now Katie was frightened because she had no idea why I was acting so bizarrely. Even in my altered state, I could tell she was getting freaked out by my behavior. So I had to make a decision. Confess my transgression, that I am a fuck-up, or let her imagination run wild and have her think maybe I'm in danger, like I'm having a seizure or a stroke, or that I'm gonna die, or maybe that I'm already dead. So I said the words that no child should ever have to hear. "Mommy's baked." In Amsterdam. "Really?" she asked, amused. "I made a very bad choice," I told Katie. "I ate that space cake I bought when we were at the farmer's market." "The whole thing?" "Mom, the drug man said to eat half." You know you are a crappy parent when your teenager scolds you for supersizing your hallucinogens. "I'm sorry, but I am totally baked in Amsterdam." I started speed walking around the periphery of our hotel room, convinced that would set my head straight. "What are you doing?" Katie asked. "Sometimes you just gotta walk it off. You just have to walk it off," I told her earnestly. "Don't tweet about this, Katie. You're not gonna tweet about me being baked in Amsterdam, are you?" In addition to wild paranoia, I felt abject shame for being wasted in front of my daughter. This wasn't the mother I wanted to be. "I am so sorry, Katie. I wish this were not the case, but the reality is I am completely baked in Amsterdam." "Mom, it's not a big deal, but you definitely don't need to keep saying in Amsterdam." Her acceptance made me feel even worse. What kind of piece of shit parent puts her child in a position where she has to minimize, excuse, and even deny their bad behavior? "No, Katie, you have every right to be angry with me." "Okay," she said. "I'll keep that in mind. You have a right to be disappointed. You have a right to feel let down. You have a right..." Katie interrupted. "Do I have the right to be okay with this?"
Yeah.
I knit my brow and turned my head to the side quizzically. She continued, "Look, if you really think this is such a terrible thing, don't do it again. But to me, it's just not that big a deal. I'm in high school. I've seen people wasted before. People, yes, but your own mother? My self-loathing would have to wait, because just then I remembered that we were going to take a train to Paris the following day. Wide-eyed with fear, I asked Katie, "Do we know how to do that?" She laughed. "Yeah, we've got this." Did we, though? I decided I would quiz her. What if it's cloudy? Katie humored me and explained that we would go to the train station, buy tickets, and then take a train to Paris. She reminded me we had taken trains to several European cities together, and it always worked out just fine. It seemed reasonable, but I wasn't entirely convinced. Okay, but what if it's sunny? Katie blinked a few times, incredulous. Pretty much the same plan. She led us back to the hotel laundry room to collect our dry clothes and began folding. I joined her, although I was of little help because I was more interested in trying to make an origami swan with her jeans. I am so sorry about this, Katie. Mom, look at the positive side. I now have zero interest in drugs because this does not look like fun. She paused. Seriously, most parents only tell their kids not to do drugs. You are showing me what a really bad idea it is. Great. I was a cautionary tale. Not exactly the kind of thing that makes for a Hallmark Mother's Day card, but at this point I'd have to take what I could get. Katie has always been wiser than her years, and I've never been quite as wise as mine, so we've been able to meet in the middle and have some very honest conversations about our underlying feelings. I told her I had disappointed myself because this was not the mother I wanted to be for her, the mother she deserved. I told her, I wanted to be the mom who takes you to Amsterdam to see the Van Gogh Museum and the Rembrandt House and takes you on long walks through Vondel Park. Katie reminded me, we did all those things. So you are that mom. I mean, you're also the mom who got totally baked in Amsterdam. But you know what your real problem is? You have no idea how to forgive yourself. I sat with that for some time as I started to come down and feel a little bit more like myself again. Katie was right. There was no way to live up to my image of a perfect mother. But I could be a good one and show my daughter that it's okay to screw up and to move on. It was all right to let her see my full range of emotions, including regret. It was fine, healthy even, to model for her the act of letting go of my need to dwell in shame. Instead, I had a better idea about how to spend our final night in Amsterdam. I opened the curtains to let in the periwinkle glow of the moon reflecting on the canal below and asked, "Where are those cookies from the milk bag?" Katie smiled mischievously and leapt to her backpack to fetch them. And then, together, Katie and I sat by the window and watched the boats pass by as we ate every delicious cookie in the box. Thank you. All right, let's hear it for Jen Coburn.